You think the people who talk the most are in control? They are not. Watch more carefully. The one who speaks last, or barely at all. The one whose words land like stones dropped into still water. That is the one everyone else is quietly trying to read. Silence is not emptiness. It is not weakness. Silence, used with intention, is one of the oldest instruments of power ever discovered, and almost no one alive today knows how to use it. This video will change how you walk into every room, every conversation, every negotiation. Because once you understand why the silent ones always win, you will never speak carelessly again. In the winter of 1513, Niccolo Machiavelli sat in a farmhouse outside Florence, stripped of his office, tortured, exiled from the city he had served for 14 years. He had nothing left but a quill and a clear mind. And in that forced silence, he wrote the most dangerous political document in Western history, The Prince. Here is what most people miss about that book. It is not a manual for cruelty. It is a manual for observation, for seeing human nature without illusion. One of its quietest insights: the ruler who reveals his thinking invites his own destruction. The man who speaks freely gives his enemies a map. Machiavelli did not invent this truth. He simply had the courage to write it down. The Stoics knew it centuries before him, and today it applies to you, in your career, your relationships, your ambitions, with the same precision it did in Renaissance Florence. Law 1. Every word you speak is a card played face up. Think about the last time you over-explained yourself in a confrontation or an argument. You were afraid. Fear talks. It fills silence because silence feels like losing. But when you over-explain, you hand the other person a complete inventory of your insecurities and your limits. Marcus Aurelius wrote, not for public consumption, but for himself alone, that the wise man speaks only when his words improve upon silence. That is not poetry. That is strategy. When you pause before speaking, long enough to ask whether the words add anything real, you will find that half of what you were about to say was anxiety dressed as communication. Drop those words. Keep the cards close. But silence does something even more unsettling to the people around you. Law 2. Silence forces others to fill the void, and they always reveal more than you asked. This is the mechanism that great negotiators and very calm people have always understood. The human mind cannot tolerate a vacuum in conversation. When you stop talking and simply wait, the other person experiences a quiet panic, and in that panic, they talk. They justify. They offer concessions they had no intention of offering. Epictetus, born a slave, died one of the most studied philosophers in history, understood this from pure survival. When you have no conventional power, you learn to read the room instead of filling it. Practically, the next time someone makes you an offer, a salary negotiation, a conflict, state your position once, clearly, and go silent. Let the discomfort work for you. What follows will teach you everything about their actual position. But at its deepest level, silence is something far more personal than tactic. Law 3. The person who needs to be understood has already surrendered authority. There is a deep human hunger to be seen, to have others understand our motives, our reasoning. That hunger becomes weakness the moment it drives your behavior in high-stakes moments. Machiavelli observed that the ruler who constantly explains his decisions trains those around him to believe he requires their approval. And once they believe that, they test it. The Stoics called this attachment to external opinion one of the primary sources of human suffering. Epictetus was direct. What other people think of you is not in your control. Treating it as though it is will break you. The silent move here is self-containment. You do your work. You act from your values. You do not perform a defense of those values for an audience that did not ask. Authority is not announced. It is demonstrated, mostly through what you choose not to say. And once you carry that stillness into a room, something strange begins to happen. Law 4. Stillness reads as power, even when you feel none of it. When most people feel nervous or out of their depth, they accelerate. They talk faster, explain more, laugh too easily. All of it signals the same thing to every instinct in the room. This person is not settled. Now, consider the opposite. Someone who speaks slowly, pauses between thoughts, does not rush to fill silence, does not visibly react to provocation. Even if uncertain inside, the outward stillness creates a powerful perception. This person has nothing to fear. Marcus Aurelius returned again and again in his private journals to one principle, that the quality of your inner life is the foundation of every outward action. Cultivate stillness inside, and it will show outside without effort. You do not need to be fearless. You need to stop broadcasting your fear. That practice begins with your mouth, and with learning when to close it. But this discipline carries a cost most people are not prepared for. Law 5. The discipline of silence will unsettle people, and that is not your problem to solve. When you stop over-explaining, stop seeking approval through words, people who relied on your talkativeness to read and manage you will become uncomfortable. They may call you cold, arrogant. Understand what is actually happening. They have lost a tool they use to influence you. This is not cruelty. You are not withholding warmth. You are refusing to externalize every internal state for the comfort of people whose comfort should not govern you. Seneca wrote that most of what we call socializing is mutual noise-making, a way to avoid confronting the silence within ourselves. The person who can sit with inner quiet does not need the noise. And that self-sufficiency is, to those who have never cultivated it, genuinely threatening. Let them be threatened. Your peace is not their property. But here is where everything gets reframed. Because silence is only powerful when you understand what it is not. Here is the turn. Everything we have covered, the restraint, the stillness, the withholding, none of it means what most people assume. Silence is not coldness. It is not a wall. That misreading turns a discipline into a pathology. True strategic silence, as Machiavelli intended and the Stoics practiced, belongs to someone who is fully present, who listens more completely because they are not composing their next sentence while you speak. It is the silence of someone who has decided their words will carry weight. And the only way to ensure weight is through scarcity. You are not withholding yourself. You are concentrating yourself. The quietest person in the room is not absent. They are the only one who is actually there. And when they speak, everyone listens. Not because of performance, because of presence earned through discipline, protected through restraint. Start small. In your next difficult conversation, speak half as much as you think you need to. Watch what the space produces. In your next negotiation, state your position once and wait. Do not break first. When someone challenges you and expects a reaction, give them stillness. Let your composure be the answer, and in your own mind, begin noticing the difference between words that come from clarity and words that come from anxiety. One serves you. The other serves your fear. Machiavelli was right. The Stoics were right. Every quietly powerful person you have ever admired has known this, even if they never said it out loud, especially if they never said it out loud. The silent ones are not waiting for permission to speak. They have simply decided their silence already says enough.